Hello. So I thought I'd try making another FPL video. I've got a few thoughts that are easier to put in a video than to tweet. A little bit cluttered thoughts. I'm just going to try and churn my way through. Just wanted to talk about Game Week 10. Looking forward to not just Game Week 11, but I've been trying to future plan right up until like Game Week 19, 20, thinking about AFCON, Asian Cup, a bit far ahead. But I'm just trying to kind of think back from there a little bit. Want to talk about Haaland, no Haaland drafts, and data versus intuition as well. I'm just going to waffle. Game week 10 though, I did quite well. Got 88 points, which is, I had an unusual experience on Twitter because normally every game week, even if I've done well, there's almost always loads of people that have done better than me all the time, and I just scroll through. And I always feel kind of like, how do they do it? Like, I think I'm doing well, but there's so many people who are doing better. And I know when people have done well, they're more likely to post, and when people have done badly, they tend to kind of hide it or not post. So you get a bit biased there. But yeah, this time on Twitter, I was scrolling through and I couldn't find many people who did better, which is good for me. But I do think, without being too modest, I think I got well jammy. It was just one of those game weeks when like everything went well. It wasn't a massive monster score, but it's pretty good anyway. I've gone from 5.3 mil to 1.8 mil in 3 game weeks, which is nice. I never know what I think about rank because I've always had a problem with the nature of competition because I don't. If by me going up a ladder, it means somebody else goes down. I don't like it. I don't want. It's the nature of competition, right? We can't all go up. I mean, I know 1.8 is nothing to shout about either, but it's just I feel weird about rank. If I go up, it means somebody else goes down. So every time there's somebody happy, there's somebody else sad. It's a zero-sum game. So I kind of think we probably shouldn't think about rank too much and just think about try and get the happiness and self-worth from other things, and don't know. Anyway, I won't get into it now. But what was I going to say about that? So that's good. But I did get quite jammy, I think. Like Cash getting taken off before the clean sheet, getting his that locked. And Bomo wasn't expecting much, so that was wicked. And Diaby, I was just hoping he would keep up to on the coattails of Watkins. So for him to outscore him was great. Madison and Son, they all came through. It was only Johnston and Alvarez, and then Udogi, who blanked. Udogi, I've had one little pickle. In the last 2 game weeks, I've played with 10 men. Udogi this game week, Botman last game week. And it's just, I feel like there's a principle there that I may have missed, which is that both times I've played with 10 men and I've had a free transfer that I've rolled. And it kind of seems in hindsight, like, why didn't you just... I should have just done Botman to Simicast there. I ended up doing Botman to Simicast here anyway. And the same with Udogi to Gay. Although that would have only made me 1 point. But I could have done something. I could have done Bayer to Taylor. But I was trying to push it. Because if Udogi and Botman had started, which the general consensus was they would, then I would have saved that transfer. And I would have had... I had this vague idea that it would be worth something in the next game week. And then, these players are just going to be sitting there wasted anyway. So it would have been a wasted transfer. I didn't want to waste a transfer. So I was just pushing my luck, really. Just thought Botman would start. I thought Udogi would start. They didn't. It backfired. That's the whole game, isn't it? You just take punts. It's all punts. And some of them work and some of them don't. So, yeah, I lost that one. Maybe I should have played safer. I mean, imagine if I'd done Bayer to Taylor. That would have been pure jam all over my team. But I didn't. So, yeah, got quite lucky. What was I going to say about my team? My brain is really slow today. I've got did a few notes. Yeah, no. It reminds me though of, sometimes when everybody generally has a bad week, and then content creators say if you had a good week, you're probably doing FPL wrong. You have some of those. Not quite like that, but it feels a bit like that. It reminds me of Wildcard 26 last season. When, in my opinion, this is arguable, but in my opinion, it felt to me like the people that had done their research and were ready to move, they all did wildcard in 26. And the people that weren't quite sure and they weren't quite ready, they just waited for 27 because they didn't need to go. And then, of course, Liverpool beat Man United 7-0. And all the people that wildcard in 27, they kept all their Liverpool players in 26. They had Salah, Trent and Darwin. They smashed it. And it was a massive swing. And it was really unlucky. In 26, wildcard, I did it in wildcard 26. And I had like the worst game week I had all season or something. It like really backfired. Feels a bit like that. In which case, except I'm on the other side of it. I kind of feel like people who wildcarded in 8, and especially the people that went no Haaland, I got this feeling at the moment, my hunch is that was the objectively right thing to do. Now that I think about it, the no Haaland thing, I hadn't looked into it until like midway through game week 10, like last game week. But it actually seems quite obvious now, because like when you downgrade Haaland, you're going to be downgrading him to probably whoever you don't have of Alvarez or Watkins, probably maybe a Darwin, somebody else, but you downgrade him to like Haaland or Watkins or Alvarez. So you just think, well, how many points are you going to lose in that transaction over the next few game weeks? And I mean, my model originally had Watkins basically keeping up with Haaland. I mean, he was outscoring Haaland before that game week 10, and he's got better fixtures, so why wouldn't he carry on? But the gap there might not be that big. But whatever you think that gap is, Haaland down to whatever, then you take the Haaland money, upgrade the rest of your team, and if all the upgrades, can they match that one downgrade? Can they override it? Keep up with it? And it just seems like really simple, because Haaland to Watkins is not that much, but then something like Udogie to Trippier, and originally I was thinking Mbommo to Saka or Diaby to Saka. My points model was saying this is going to it will be easily outscore. So from a data point of view, I kind of feel like the no Haaland draft and wildcard 8 was probably the right thing to do. And if you went no Haaland on game week 10, I still feel like objectively that probably was the right thing to do. Some people went with Haaland without Haaland, and it's a very brave, bold thing to do. I think the people who wildcarded in 8 without Haaland, they're probably already up on that transaction quite a lot from 8 and 9. So maybe 10's pulled it back a bit. We'll have to see what happens in 11, but yeah, I think that was probably the right thing to do. I don't know. That's just my hunch. But the reason I didn't do it was partly because I wasn't paying attention in game week 8. Also, the whole idea of wildcarding is like I've had Salah since game week 1, so I didn't really need him, and I've also been taking a shed load of hits all season. So my team has always been not too far away from what people are wildcarding into anyway. And then the reason I didn't have like Saka and Trippier and Watkins this game week was partly because I was just dilly-dallying. I was hesitating. I had opportunities to get Watkins, opportunities to get Saka, and I got priced out of them because I just wasn't quite sure. But then at the same time, there was this kind of intuitive element. So you got the data side, but there was this intuition I had of like, I don't think I was ever going to do it. I think the move that I ended up making, which I ended up just doing Botman to Simicast, was that was all I was going to do. I feel like I don't think I was ever really going to wildcard, and I don't think I was ever really going to get Saka or Watkins or Trippier, because I just had this intuition of like, I love these players. So I don't know how much of it was me. I don't know. Could be. I'm partly thinking of that. These players are wicked. Like Maddison, Son, Mbommo as well. My model was saying Mbommo is a keep, so I wanted to keep him. And Salah and Alvarez and Haaland are real quality players. And also, they're kind of, as people were moving off them, I started to feel more and more like they might be differentials to an extent. So I don't know. It's a weird one to kind of prune apart. I don't want to push my luck too much though, because I do think I was quite jammy to get away with that. And in game week 11, where are we? 11 in game week 12, Arsenal against Burnley. I don't know how much I can push that luck, and Watkins has still got 2 good games. So, what am I trying to say? The whole data versus intuition thing. Yeah, I feel as though sometimes I feel like as FPL managers, I tend to think we ought to side on the data. And so I sometimes think of us as we're like fishermen, and our job is to build this massive net. And then every time the game week starts, we dip our nets in the ocean, fish come, end of the game, we pull our nets up and we count our fish. and our job is to stitch our nets as wide as possible to catch as many fish as possible. And the metaphor there is that the wideness of the net is odds. It's odds maximization of you just want to have as wide an odds maximization as possible to catch as many fish, and that basically means like just points. I just want to get as many of these predicted points as possible and widen that net as big as possible so that I can catch as many fish. So it's just data and it's just points predictions, and that's all it is. But the problem is there's a whole aspect to FPL that is like unquantifiable. There's all these things that you can't quite quantify, like I don't know, like Madison and Son not being in Europe. It's like I might be able to quantify it, but I don't really know how, and I'm not going to. And it's just and sometimes like Haaland against Man United, like I wanted to keep him for the Man United and Bournemouth game because I knew what he could do against Man United. Now my model wouldn't pick that up, but I knew he might have an extra special gear against Man United. I actually wonder whether I should have captained him. In hindsight, it's obviously easy. I don't think I was ever really considering him for captain because Salah was quite high up on the model. But yeah, I do wonder about that because it's Man United and he seems to like really hate Man United. He gets fired up for him. So don't know, but yeah, I wouldn't have done that. But yeah, the intuitive element of the game, and I think even though I would consider myself way more team analytics and team grass, at the end of the day my final decision always comes down to my gut. It doesn't matter how much data there is. If my gut isn't in it, my gut always has the final say in everything, and I'm always just going to follow my intuitions. But I think I'm still technically team analytics. It's just the intuitive part is like, it's a really fun, mysterious, interesting part of the game. I love it. And because the other thing is, because it brings all this psychology into the game as well. It's really interesting. The other thing that's difficult about the intuitive side of the game is that your intuition is basically, it's like all of the lessons you've ever learned playing FPL over all the years that have all kind of gone down into your subconscious, and then you're left with this vague residue of a hunch. You can't remember your reasons why you know a thing, but you just know it, you feel it, and it's just this intuition, and it's all of those lessons built up into this hunch. But the problem with that, which can be a really good thing, but the problem with that as well is that any kind of bad experiences you've had and good experiences, they can bias your thinking, and that gets mixed up in your hunch as well. This is why data is good at cutting through that. And I do think like earlier in the season, I was very gung-ho. I was making a lot of changes, taking a lot of risks, switching players around, pushing my luck. And I think I got stung a few times, particularly Sterling. My biggest interstellar moment of like just regret of like wishing I could go back was Sterling, man. I hit Mitoma out for Sterling, and then Mitoma went off. Sterling blank, 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 blank. And then I got rid of Sterling just before that Burnley game. And that would have been so sweet if I'd kept him for that, because it would have made the hit probably worth it. Would have been lovely, of course. But now I feel like I wonder whether that is the reason why, at this point in the season now, I've suddenly started to slow down and feel like I don't want to tweak my team. I just want to leave it, don't play around with it. But is that right? Like, because it's not right, is it? I should probably just go with the data and just keep. That's the one that I should just keep going with the data. But I'm kind of cautious to make any changes now, and I've heard some people on Twitter and stuff talk about this kind of action bias, where people generally prefer to take action than to not take action, which may be true in general. I don't know, but for me personally, it's like the opposite. Recently, is like I don't want to take any action. I feel like I've kind of frozen up. I'm like, I just want to leave it because I don't want to mess it up. And the reason behind that is it almost feels like if you've got a good player. Because there's lots of switching good players for good players. If you've got a good player and there's another good player over here that you want to switch in, if you don't move, don't touch it, and that player over there ends up scoring and your player blanks, it feels bad, it stings, and you feel bad, but it's like the pain of like not getting invited to a party. They're having a party over there with their points, you didn't get invited, boo-hoo, you feel a bit bad for yourself. But when you actually make a transfer and you transfer a good player out, another player in, and the player you transfer out smashes it, and the player you transfer in blanks, that almost feels doubly worse because you're still not invited to the party. All the points are over there, but it's your own fault. Like, you did it. You made that happen. And it's like you kicked yourself out of your own party. I don't know. So it's almost like doubly bad, and nobody has any sympathy for you because it was your own fault. And it's like, so I almost feel like that. But that's probably wrong thinking. I should probably just stick to the numbers. I'm probably overthinking it all. I'm probably just going to carry on going back to my normal method of just looking at my model, generally choosing. I generally look at the points and see who's the best point scorers and all this kind of business, and then I hunch it, and then I kind of add this kind of, after I've looked at the points, I then think of my own intuitions afterwards and just try to kind of figure out whether it's worth it or not. So yeah, data versus intuition, interesting part of the game. Anyway, what am I going to do next with my team? So going forward, so yeah, that's looking pretty good. Going forward though, what have I done here? Okay, back to that. So I don't know. I've already done Udogi to Gay, which is a transfer I could have done in game week 10. I've just done it now. Yeah, I think that's fine because Tottenham do have some tricky fixtures. I don't mind keeping Maddison and Son, but Udogi, I think they could lose a few clean sheets. He's not actually as attacking as I was hoping for. And so it is mainly clean sheets I'm hoping for, and they've got Tottenham. They've got Man City coming up, Aston Villa, Chelsea are fairly attacking, so Newcastle there. Whereas I really like Crystal Palace's fixtures here. West Ham as well I don't consider to be too dangerous, so yeah, that's a nice run of 5 fixtures there. I am looking at this little patch here quite closely. Crystal Palace to Chelsea, right around game week 16. I'm kind of thinking I want to do a double transfer. I've got double Crystal Palace defence at the moment, Gay and Johnston. I like that idea of having a double switch to Chelsea there, and then just going from to Colwell and Sanchez or something for that run. Looks nice. But that depends on what happens with Chelsea. I still, when I play FPL, I think I forget the big picture and I just look through this filter of FPL for XG and all this kind of stuff. I've always considered Chelsea to be pretty good. Their XGI is really good. I mean, the XGC throughout the season so far they're like 4th best there, 1.13. They're doing fine. Their defence is really good. I think their attack is all right as well. Where are they? They're about 7th. A little bit worse. Better than Spurs. A little bit worse than Arsenal. So I like Chelsea, but but the big picture, I think people are talking about Chelsea being in crisis, and they got really hard fixtures here. I mean, Brighton's not going to be easy either. Man United, we'll see where they're at that game week 15. So they need to get some results there, and we'll have to wait and see about that. I'm hoping people keep faith with Pochettino, and I think he's probably building something pretty good. But yeah, so there's a nice fixture swing here. I think you could bring attacking Chelsea players in against Brighton and Man United. So as soon as 14, Cole Palmer's and Ifan Kunku's back, they would be definite options. But we'll have to wait and see about that. Yeah, so we just got to see how Chelsea go. Hopefully they'll do well, and then it won't ruin my plan. Otherwise, I'll have to think of a new plan. But I am thinking I'm going to want 2 transfers for 18 and 2 transfers for 16. So I'm already kind of trying to think back a little bit. There's a couple of other fixture swings coming up. What was the other one? Well, Aston Villa, wasn't it? You could hop off Aston Villa in 13 when they play Tottenham, but then they got Bournemouth in 14. But it's the Man City Arsenal games that I think you probably want to sidestep them. Then Brentford away. So I've only got 2 Aston Villa. I might get rid of Cash in 13 and then Diaby, get rid of him in 15. Diaby to Eze could be a nice punt. I'd have to do that. What's that? I'd have to do that in 15. Yeah, no, what am I talking about? Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, 15. That's a terrible idea. Why did I think that would be a good idea? I think I might no, that's right. I thought about doing it in 13 because Luton, West Ham and Bournemouth are really bad defences. Um, I'm just going to say this now as well. Like, this season, Sheffield United and Bournemouth are like historically bad, I think. And also Arsenal, their defenses, and Arsenal, Man City's defenses are like historically good. My model was based on like 5 years of worth of data and stuff, and it's I usually have these like 30%, 30% up, 30% down boundaries. But the Sheffield United and Bournemouth and Arsenal, Man City are breaking those boundaries this season, where I've had some players are getting multiplied by like 46, 50%, sometimes like 40 to 50%, depending on how bad their defence is. And Arsenal and Man City are breaking that 30% bound at the bottom as well. So it is worth noting. I've heard a couple of other podcasts pointing that out as well, where those two ends are like much more extreme. So Sheffield United and Bournemouth, yeah, definitely target them. Luton, West Ham and Burnley are all teams that you would normally target. So extra especially target Sheffield United and Bournemouth. But Luton, West Ham and Burnley are all doing quite bad as well. Yeah, West Ham did have tough fixtures to begin with, but I'm still not sure. Well, this is fixture adjusted. Shall we just have a look at the fixture adjusted? West Ham go down. Actually, geez, look at that. Man United now. Only just noticed that. They go down to 4th worst, and West Ham are 5th worst now, and then there's Burnley if we adjust for fixtures. That's my own subjective adjustment, but yeah, that's interesting. Man United right down there. Could be because they just got whooped by huge XG from Man City. This is the last 6 game weeks. That might be that might be skewing the numbers actually. Yeah. So anyway, so yeah, they're the teams to target. So yeah, so basically Crystal Palace, that 13, 14, 15, Eze maybe, Luton, West Ham, Bournemouth could be worth a pump. You have to get rid of him in 16. One thought I thought I might do one video maybe one day of like transfer tactics, because I'm trying to kind of figure out what to do with my transfers over this period. I'm trying to think of little tactics of like maybe you could do like a hop on, hop off, just one player here and then just go straight on to another. Because normally my moves are like I just take one block and then I move them. I'm always looking for long-term transfers, but you don't have to do that. Maybe I could do a hop on, hop off and just deliberately find some 1 week punts. You know, you got Darwin's and Wilson's up front. Could be worth some good 1 week punts. Brighton have got Sheffield United, Pedro, Ferguson, people like this, Burnley there. Could be some 1 week punt transfers worth doing. And another little transfer tactic I was thinking of is I could upgrade Archer. The money that I would have spent Maddison to Saka, instead I could upgrade Archer to a Pedro or a Ferguson. Got 0.9 in the bank. Something like that, or a Calvert-Lewin. And then in some of the hard games when Tottenham are playing Man City, when do they play Tottenham? Tottenham play Man City there, maybe Aston Villa, maybe Newcastle, and Brentford I think have got Arsenal there, and Liverpool. I could potentially, use this kind of bench spot to rotate them in and out, is one option I've been thinking about. The only problem with that is it would stop me from selling Alvarez to Darwin or Nkunku. It would block that because I wouldn't have the money. So I need to think about that. Some people are talking about the idea of selling Alvarez this game week to Darwin. I'm probably not going to do it, but I don't think it's absolutely crazy. I think Darwin against Luton could smash it in if he starts. I don't know whether we'll get the leak of whether he's going to start though or not. But Alvarez is somebody who I think I'm willing to sell, even though I said earlier I do like him as a pick, and I have done. There was a point where I was like, he felt like not a season keeper, but a half season keeper. He felt really good. And then, but just recently, I've kind of started going off him a bit, just because I'm almost like waiting for Pep Roulette to strike at one of these moments. Waiting for Pep Roulette to strike, and also the fact that his XGI is like 0.46 just slightly puts me off. He generally overperforms his XGI, so you could maybe think of him as a 0.6 man, but ish. I mean, he's 0.75 there, which is good, but I just feel a little bit like, where was I? That 0.46 puts me off a bit, and I'm waiting for Pep Roulette to strike, and he's got some hard fixtures coming up. That run of Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham, Aston Villa. I mean, Aston Villa's defence is kind of average, so maybe it's just Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham. And Chelsea might be shaky. And those two are at home. It might not be too bad, but that's a hard run. So I could be willing to come off Alvarez. But Darwin I love. I did this on my last video. If you look from game week, let's go from game week 11 to 17. I won't bring 18 into it with the blank. 11 to 17. These are the predicted points. Darwin is very high. He's right up there. 4th best. Actually, no, Chris Wood is just... I've got my minutes filter set low. So he's probably the 3rd best. 49, almost 50 points. But if you think that Darwin's only going to start 3 out of every 4 games, then that bumps him down to about 7th place. 7th place. So even Trippier and Saka and Son and Mbommo come up above him now. Because if he starts 3 of every 4 games, he'll still get 22 minutes. He'll get a bit of points, but bumps him down a bit. And that's the equation. And the thing with Darwin is he's still the 2nd best forward. He's still above Watkins there. So if you're debating that, Watkins or Darwin, if he plays 3 of every 4 games, he's still predicted to do as good as Watkins, about the same. But then that's if he plays 3 of every 4 games. If he plays 50% of his games, bumps him down to 29, so he'll be right down here somewhere. So that's the question with Darwin. And there's some people seem to be talking about Darwin as being nailed now. Or, no, not nailed, but like first choice. They're thinking he's first choice. And there are signs of that. But I'm a little bit wary this season of FPL Twitter consensuses. I feel like they've been wrong. I've noticed them being wrong more often this season. And just not too much, but just a little bit here and there. Like there was Pedro in game week 1 when everybody just got on him. And I think a fair few people knew that he was a bit of a risk, but there was definitely this sense of there was much more confidence in Pedro than there should have been, I think. And people were very overestimating, I think, his minutes and stuff. And I don't know, some people were aware of it, but I think that, the Twitter consensuses, there's been some with like Man City defenders as well. Like at the start of the season, Stones and stuff, I think, and there was some Man City defenders that people were jumping on. And I was like, I wasn't on board with that either because of Pep Roulette and stuff. Although Pep Roulette hasn't been that bad this season. But anyway. So, yeah, I'm a bit wary of Twitter consensuses. So, Darwin being first choice now and starting 3 out of every 4, I've got no idea, really. I think you'd have to talk to some proper Liverpool fans. Maybe Planet FPL. They might have some videos on it. But, yeah, so I'm not sure. I think I'm going to end up probably waiting to see. But then that means maybe missing out. He's playing Luton this weekend. Could get ugly. I keep crisscrossing in my thoughts, but just on that topic as well, captain for next game week. I'm thinking Haaland, but if anybody wants to go to Salah, it could be a good differential to go for Salah because I think he's predicted just as many points, pretty much the same. He's a little bit. Why has it done that for? I don't know why, but don't know why it hasn't put that in order. But yeah, Haaland's top. Salah's only slightly second though. But it could be if you're chasing rank or something, it could be a good differential go for Salah. And I've heard some people say that Luton concede a lot of their chances on their left, so where Salah's playing. But my hunch in that regard, going back to intuition, is that I just feel like Haaland's going to smash it. I feel like Haaland at the Etihad at home, it feels more like he could get loads of goals. They're going to smash it, whereas Salah going to this little Luton's ground, I think it's reminding me of when they went to Nottingham Forest last season and they lost 1-0 and it was just really rugged game, and I don't know what the weather's going to be like, but I don't know, maybe I'm underestimating Liverpool and Salah massively there, but just got this slight feeling that they might have a tough game. They might just be a little bit kind of rugged, the pitch will be crap, it'll be raining, and I don't know. Whereas Haaland on the big stage, and Bournemouth again, like what I said about Bournemouth being just astronomically crap at the moment. So I've got to go Haaland. I'm a little bit wary of Pep Roulette striking at any moment, but let's hope it won't. So yeah, Haaland. Yeah, but back to transfers, future planning. So yeah, that's some of the thoughts I had about that. A couple more. Yeah, so possibly Alvarez 12. I could come off him. Diaby to Eze maybe 13. That little punt there. Some Chelsea players. But then going forward to game week 18. I'm imagining most people have used their wild cards now. If there's anybody I haven't yet, probably going to use it in 19. So I'm kind of thinking I may as well lean into it and use that as a kind of differential. So what everybody else is going to have to do in 18 now, if there's any opportunity for me to go against that, I may as well lean into it and use wildcard 19 for all it's worth. Not sure how to maximize it though, how to get the max. I need to think about it. Just wondering whether I could even use it in 18, but I think that's probably stupid. I can use it in 20. I think that's the very last time you could use it, but I'm probably going to use it in 19. One thing I'd say, I'll just fast forward to AFCON and the Asian Cup. It's going to start game week 21. Everybody going to AFCON and the Asian Cup will miss game week 21 for definite. And the main players are Salah and Bomo, Son, Mitoma. Then you've also got Jackson, Anana, Aguerd, Hwang, and Tomiyasu are the main names. I think there may be some more. They're all missed 21, but the thing is, most of these names are all in pretty good teams, and if they make the round of 16, which they're probably all likely to do, then they're probably going to miss 22 and 23 as well. They might come back for 23 if they get knocked out of the round of 16, but so I'm basically thinking they're all going to miss at least 21, 22, 23, and then 24, if they make it to the semi-finals or the final, then they will miss 24. I mean, this is a rough fixture ticker. Where are we? Game week is 21, 22, 23 and 24. The semi-final of the Asian Cup and the semi-final of the AFCON, and I think the Asian Cup as well, is there midweek there between 23 and 24. And then the final is that weekend there in 24. So I think there's a very good chance that the Asian Cup, Son and Mitoma and Tomiyasu and that they won't be back even for 24 because they're probably the favourites over there, the Asian Cup. Maybe Salah and Bomo might be back for 24. We'll have to see how it goes. They may even miss 25, but probably not. Anyway, I'm basically, they're all a sell for me, all of those players. And then I'll just see if I can get them back when the time comes. What was I going to say about that? So I'm kind of tracing my moves back a bit. You know, do I want to have too many of those players? I'm looking, you know, because you don't want to have too many players that you have to suddenly get rid of all in one go for 21. Salah's got Arsenal and Newcastle in 18 and 20, so Salah will go on my wild card, so I'm probably going to have to get rid of him on 19 and get against Burnley, which is going to be a pain. But I'm probably going to have to get rid of him there unless I wild card on 20 instead. But if I wild card on 20, that means I can't get Haaland in 19 unless I do a free transfer. Don't know. I'm not going to think too deeply about it just yet. But I am a little bit wary of Mitoma. I think I'm probably going to try and sidestep Mitoma because I don't want to add too many players that I'm going to have to get rid of. As you come into 18, everyone's going to want to try and get rid of Mbomo, Haaland and Alvarez, and then any other Brentford or Man City players they got. Probably not that many. One big thing advantage I have from wildcarding in 19 is that I can get rid of Haaland on 18 and I'll just switch him straight to Watkins. That's a very likely transfer I'll do. Watkins against Sheffield United at home. Yeah, and then I can just use that money, the other money, to spend wherever I want and then wildcard in 19 probably. Yeah, so that's kind of vague. I don't really know if wildcard 19 is going to be of that much use. I feel as though most people will be able to navigate it. But there could be a bunch of other red flags that could scupper other people. Whereas maybe I can clean all the red flags up in wildcard. I don't know. But that's rough ideas. But for this game week, I've basically just done your doggy to Gay. I've got one more transfer. And I don't think I'm going to do anything. I feel like Maddison and Son against Chelsea are my weakest players, and that's not really that weak at the moment, so I'm not too bothered about that. And then 12, hopefully Estepinian will be back. And Bomber against Liverpool and then Arsenal, bit of a problem. Yeah, I'll put Darwin in there. Anyway, I'm babbling. Yeah, I think that's a lot of my thoughts. What else did I want to say? I think that was all of my thoughts. Yeah, a bunch of other little things I was going to talk about, but I don't think I need to talk about all of that. Yeah, okay, I think I'll leave it there. That's some rough thoughts. Yeah, okay. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.